Hey there, Pastor Andrew here. Thank you so much for joining us as we continue in this cool series, Jesus the King. We're spending time in the Gospel of Mark. Here we are on Mark chapter 2. And so I'm asking you, we're reading one chapter a week. Join us as we gather together on Sundays and continue in this Gospel of Mark, and then we're going to kick out devotionals during the week. Well, here we are in Mark chapter 2. Let's just jump right in. We're in verses 15 through 17. Now, so far, Jesus is calling his disciples, and a lot has happened again. Mark moves quickly. He hits the ground running with his account about Jesus. But Jesus has just called Levi, or Matthew, the tax collector. And again, that's a whole loaded phrase there and a whole loaded sort of cultural situation where Matthew, Levi would have been considered a traitor. I mean, his life would have been, he probably would have had money, but man, his life would have been rough socially because he would have been an outcast because he was helping Rome by collecting taxes. And it's a mess socially. And so Levi was an outcast. Matthew, Levi, same name. He was an outcast. So Jesus calls this tax collector that is relegated into this group of people that are the lowest of the low. Again, the Scribes and the Pharisees, the leaders of the religious law that knew the Old Testament, we call it the Old Testament, the Hebrew Scriptures really well. And they were the ones that told people, this is how you relate to God. This is how you practice our faith of Judaism really well to relate to God. They were the ones that interpreted it and set the standards and all that kind of stuff. They were the ones that said tax collectors and sinners, prostitutes and addicts and people who were not in their right mind, and just all of those people were in this group of the outcasts. So Jesus calls one as a follower. Man, that's a game changer, isn't it? So Jesus calls Levi, Matthew, as a follower. Come follow me. And then we see that he's eating at Matthew's house. Again, Jesus is breaking all of the social rules. That's a good thing for us to consider. So Jesus is breaking all of the social rules, and then we jump into verse 15 of chapter number 2. And as Jesus reclined at table at his house, at Matthew's house, many tax collectors and sinners were reclining with Jesus and his disciples. And there were many who followed him. And the scribes and the Pharisees, when they saw this, that he was eating with sinners and tax collectors, said to his disciples, kind of like you can imagine them pulling Simon Peter aside, or John, or calling some of the disciples aside and saying, why does he do this? Why is he eating? Why is your leader, your teacher, your master eating with tax collectors and sinners? And when Jesus heard it, he said to them, those who are well have no need of a physician, but those who are sick. I came not to call the righteous, but the sinners. And that's a kind of a cool passage, huh? Lots of questions probably come up in your mind if you slowly read these passages, these verses, and just think, what do you mean by that, Jesus? But I think what's really cool that I'd like to draw out of this passage that stands out to me is the fact that Jesus is so willing to break social rules, and he's so willing to not care about his reputation or what people are going to say about him, but he's just doing what's right. He's doing what he's called to do, and he's doing something that's benefiting the people. He's not reckless. He's not, as far as he's not reckless. He's not damaging anything. You know what I'm saying? He's helping people. He's breaking social rules and hanging out with people that others would consider the outcasts of society, with no real regard for his own reputation. Man, that speaks to me. That challenges me. Does it challenge you? Are we so concerned with our reputation and how people feel about us and how people think about us that maybe we're handcuffed a little bit to things that we wish we could do? We can't do those things because we're so worried about what people would think or say about us. But may we be people like Jesus, where we're willing to just sort of break through the social, even the Christian social norms, if they are a hindrance of promoting the gospel. And again, Christ wins in promoting the gospel. So what I'm saying here certainly has nothing to do with doing things that are dangerous and reckless that would be negative for the message of the gospel. That's counterproductive. But even though Jesus was willing to cut through social barriers, it was for the progress of the gospel. And people felt loved. People felt cared for. People may not always remember what you say, but they will always remember how you made them feel. And there's no question that the people that hung out with Jesus, those tax collectors and sinners, that group of people, that stereotype, nobody likes to be stereotyped, but that stereotype of people, they felt loved when they were with Jesus. They felt valued. They felt like they mattered to Christ. Man, I pray that is true for you. I pray that is true for me. I'm challenged by that, that we can grow in that area, to not really be concerned with our own reputation, but really being Christ to people and loving everybody. If this message speaks to you, I'm going to ask that maybe you consider commenting or liking or sharing or subscribing and helping this message spread as we continue in this series in the study of the Gospel of Mark. God bless you. We'll see you next time.